we'll get statements. I do have the audio just muted just for this time being, and we'll be unmuted here in a second. Hope everyone had a good weekend. It was a holiday yesterday, so that's why we weren't live yesterday, and they also had Monday off too. So, but we'll be unmuted here in a sec. We'll get the statements and straight to question period. We also have a committee after.
Let the doors be opened, que l'on ouvre les portes.
Let me turn this up a bit.
Statements by members. Déclaration de député. The honourable member for St. Catharines.
To borrow a line, Jim Bradley was as constant as the Northern Star. First elected to City Council in 1970, few can remember a time when Jim wasn't serving our community. He was elected to Queen's Park in 1977 and became the second longest serving MPP in Ontario's history and served as Niagara's regional chair until his death. As Environment Minister, he shaped the province, securing agreements to end acid rain and introducing the Blue Box program. In St. Catharines, his legacy is everywhere, from winding the QEW to our new hospital to the Performing Arts Centre, so many others. Jim's dedication was unmatched. He went to everything. If you were at a community event over the last half-century, odds are Jim was there. His great strength was knowing what mattered to regular folks, not just what he called the chattering class. I'll miss my friend. I'll miss our phone calls, his sage advice, and bemoaning about our beloved Blue Jays. Rest in peace, Jim. You serve St. Catharines with distinction, dignity, and heart.
The honourable member for Calgary East.
After 10 years of Liberals, Canadians aren't safe anymore. Violent crime up 55%, gun crime up 130%, extortion's up 330%. Recently, Swift Radio 1200 in Surrey was shot up, allegedly tied to extortion. A Calgary family reached out to me. Their house and business was shot up, also tied to extortion. Liberal soft-on-crime policies have turned Canada into a lawless land where violent repeat criminals get bail easily. And now, Liberals are targeting law-abiding, trained, tested, licensed hunters, farmers, and sport shooters in a $750 million gun grab scheme. Even the public safety minister admits this scheme does nothing to stop crime and is nothing more than a Liberal, taxpayer-funded vote grab. The Liberals need to scrap the gun grab now. Instead of hug-a-thug policies, Conservatives have proposed common-sense bills like the Jail Not Bail Act that will keep our streets safe. If the Liberals are serious about getting tough on crime, they'll pass these bills now to keep Canadians safe.
That's right. Way to go.
The honourable member for Whitby.
Mr. Speaker, this past weekend I was honoured to partner with the Whitby Chamber in hosting our second annual Whitby Job Fair. More than 1,000 job seekers connected with 33 local employers, opening doors and building brighter futures in our community. Thank you to the Whitby Chamber of Commerce, Carrie-Ann Large and Gizem Wiesal for their help in making this event a success. It was a pleasure engaging with employers like the Canadian Armed Forces and the Canada Border Services Agency, which offer fulfilling careers in service of all Canadians. Our new government is creating jobs, supporting workers and driving growth with transformational projects like Ontario Power Generation's Darlington Nuclear Project, which will bring 1,600 new jobs to Durham Region. The Whitby Job Fair exemplifies our commitment to supporting Canadian workers and industries by helping them expand opportunities they need to step boldly into the future. That's how you build Canada strong, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Calgary Midnapore.
This week, Imperial Oil announced it will lay off 20% of its workforce and relocate its headquarters out of Calgary. The Stampede City gets the shaft again. This Prime Minister has the power to eliminate C-48, C-69, the emissions cap, and the industrial carbon tax, but he doesn't care about the average Canadian. He doesn't have to tell his family. He doesn't know how they will pay the mortgage or put groceries on the table. To add insult to injury, it is rumored that Imperial's headquarters is being sold off to none other than Brookfield. So not only did this Prime Minister cause this demise, he could be profiting from it. The truth comes out. This Prime Minister doesn't give a rip about Calgary, doesn't give a rip about Alberta, or for that matter, Canada. The bad news for him is that I and my Conservative colleagues still do. And we will not retreat until the promise of Canada is restored.
The Honourable Member for Vaudreuil. Mr. Speaker, I proudly rise today to mark the 40th anniversary of the La Moisson Women's Centre, an organization in my riding that provides invaluable support to women in our community, regardless of their age or their situation. For 4 decades, thanks to their extraordinary team, this centre has been much more than just a place of shelter. It is a place of solidarity, education, and personal development. Workshops, community activities, mentorship programs, all of this contributes to the well-being of our community of Vaudreuil. So it is with great respect and much enthusiasm that we celebrate 40 years of the La Moisson Women's Centre. May the coming years bring success for all those who walk through its doors. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Fort McMurray Cold Lake.
Breast cancer is the most common cancer in Canadian women, and 1 in 8 women will develop breast cancer during their lifetime, impacting more than just patients, but also their family, friends, and communities. We know early detection and treatment saves lives. Leading experts, including the Canadian Cancer Society, Dense Breast Canada, Breast Cancer Canada, and the Canadian Association of Radiologists are all calling on the Canadian Task Force on Preventative Healthcare to revise its guidelines, to start breast cancer screening at 40 and extend past 75. To all the brave women publicly sharing their journey with breast cancer, thank you. You're not only raising awareness, but helping tackle the stigma associated with women's health. To all the ladies, I want to give a very special shout out to my friend Pam Cholak. Keep on fighting. You make the world a better place. To all the ladies out there putting off getting a mammogram, talk to your doctor today. To everyone out there in a battle with breast cancer, keep fighting. We are all cheering for you. Not today, cancer.
L'Honorable.
The Honourable Member for La Prairie, Atatakan. Mr. Speaker, today I wish to mark the incredible achievement of the Canadian Rugby 15's women's team, which last week overcame the terrifying haka of their opponents to trounce reigning champions, the Black Fern, in the World Cup semi-finals, achieving a historic victory before falling to the Red Roses. Anyone with the slightest experience on the rugby pitch knows that rugby is the quintessential team sport. It is impossible to win without teamwork and team unity, and our Canadians demonstrated this value both on and off the pitch. I want to celebrate the courage and determination of these women who will no doubt inspire an entire generation of young female athletes. Thank you. You have represented your country.
The Honourable Member for Hamilton East Stony Creek.
To the Hamilton steelworker and the workers of Arvin Avenue who lose sleep over job security and the recently unemployed, you have done everything right. This Prime Minister can't make a deal, and he has failed you. To the many who visit food banks in Hamilton, you have done everything right. The Liberal inflation food tax has failed you. To the many who don't feel safe walking down the street in your own neighborhood, you have done everything right. The Liberal soft on crime policy has failed you. The Liberals had a chance last week to vote for a Conservative motion that would put violent repeat offenders behind bars. They voted against it. Soon we will have a vote on the Conservative Jail Not Bail Act. I hope they join us in that vote. Today, we will vote on a Conservative motion to lower food inflation. Will the Liberals do the right thing and vote with us and Canadians?
L'Honorable Député de Berthier.
The Honourable Member for Berthier-Maskinongé. I'm pleased to mark 3 anniversaries that are important to Berthier-Maskinongé's history. First, St. Gabriel de Brandon has turned 200. On the shores of Lake Masquinongé, it is a jewel of the Lanaudière. It is the 175th anniversary of St. Pauline, an incredible municipality shining in the heart of Masquinongé. And St. Edouard de Masquinongé is turning 75. Our bodies of water, forests, and agriculture are visible in all three of these municipalities. These milestones remind us that every village, every generation have shaped our region. Congratulations to all of the many engaged citizens who make the community spirit shine in our region. Together, let us honor the past and continue towards a future that lives up to our history.
L'honorable député d'Honoré Mercier.
The Honourable Member for Honoré Mercier.
National Energy Efficiency Day. Energy efficiency saves Canadians money, cuts pollution, and creates jobs. The sector employs nearly 500,000 Canadians and has the potential to create a lot more. Energy efficiency circulates money back into all of our communities and contributes positively in all of our ridings. As we strive to be the world's top energy superpower, Canada must invest massively in energy efficiency projects to strengthen our economy, whether through accelerating the use of heat pumps, insulation, LED lights, or smart thermostats. Energy efficiency is key to greener, healthier, prosperous Canada. That's why energy efficiency deserves to be treated as a priority, not just today, but every day. I urge you all to officially recognize October 1st as National Energy Efficiency Day.
Here, here.
The honourable member for Portage-Lisgar.
The Prime Minister has been racking up the air miles lately, and Canadians are only seeing postcard pictures to show for it. I'm starting to wonder if he's travelling to the UK so much just to pick up the extra clothes that he left at home. Now, if we measured success by jet lag and passport stamps, this Prime Minister would earn top marks. But here are the facts, Mr. Speaker. He promised to remove tariffs and diversify markets, yet our canola producers are now facing crippling tariffs. He promised the fastest growing economy in the G7, but we're actually the fastest shrinking economy. He said to judge him by grocery store prices, but they're rising faster today than when he became Prime Minister. And he said we're going to, quote, spend less and invest more. But somehow his deficit is set to be billions more than even his predecessor. Last time I checked, Canadians care about grocery store prices, about out-of-control crime and stronger take-home pay, not photo ops in foreign capitals. Since the Prime Minister has failed to keep his promises, maybe he should park the plane, stay for a while, and actually work on improving the lives of Canadians.
Here, here. The honourable member for Peterborough.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to congratulate the Canadian women's rugby team on their inspiring performance at the World Cup of Rugby. Not only are they bringing home a silver medal, but also the distinct honour of uniting Canadians and this House. Last week I talked to number 22 Liv App's mom Danielle about the struggles the athletes face in their pursuit to compete at the highest level. The challenging road that female athletes climb is familiar to me. In 2003, I had the privilege of playing at the World Cup of Lacrosse for Canada, a path that was created by the female athletes that came before me. Now in 2025, the Canadian women's rugby team have undoubtedly paved the way for future generations of female athletes. So today, I rise to not only congratulate you, but to thank you. I thank you not only as a woman and a female athlete, but as a mother of a one-year-old daughter who will grow up watching the strength of female athletes on the world stage to sold-out stadiums. My hope is that her generation will see this as the way things have always been. But you and I will know. Thank you, Team Canada, for inspiring us and propelling the future of women's sports forward.
Yeah. The honourable member for Thornhill.
For once in this place, we can all agree on something. Congratulations to the 2025 Toronto Blue Jays on clinching the division. They stand tall, champions of the American League. Clinching the division isn't just baseball. It's a public service. Now the rest of Canada can stop doing playoff math like deranged accountants in the most stressful reality show there is. To the Jays, you've rocked the dome. You've made this country proud. You've given us permission to believe that this is our year. On behalf of Canadians from coast to coast to coast, best of luck in the playoffs. May the bullpen stay steady and the bats stay hot, because this year we want it all. Fly all the way south to the World Series, boys. October is for the birds. Yeah.
for Fredericton Oromocto.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank the Woolastook Grand Council and Under One Sky for welcoming me and my family to their Truth and Reconciliation events yesterday. Hundreds of community members gathered at sunrise to remember through ceremony all those who never made it home after being sent to residential schools. Dans l'après-midi, plusieurs d'autres.
In the afternoon, others gathered on the Sedanskesk powwow land to celebrate stories and songs and to dance. It is a powerful reminder of resilience faced with oppression.
And reconciliation is listed in that order. It starts with the truth of our past, listening deeply and sitting with that truth no matter how uncomfortable. Only then can reconciliation begin. But reconciliation is also about hope and the belief that not only a better relationship is possible, but that it is necessary for us to live up to our full potential as a country. Uliwan, merci. Thank you.
The honourable member for Battle River Crowfoot.
Canadians deserve to live in peace and security. That security was shattered like bullets through broken glass at a radio station in Surrey once again. Swift Radio was hit with a third extortion-related gunfire attack just yesterday. I spoke with owner Colwant Desi, who had invited me to his station earlier. He said his family cannot sleep. This joins with countless other examples in Brampton, Surrey, and now in a spate of shootings in Laval. Here are the facts. Violent crime is up 54% under this Liberal government's catch-and-release bail system. Extortion is up 330% after Liberals lowered the penalties for extortion with a gun. And extortion is up 600% in BC alone. It is time to repeal these Liberal catch-and-release laws, restore order at our border, and bring peace and security to our people.
The honourable member for Pickering, Brooklyn. Just a moment. I didn't catch that, but I'll ask the honourable member for order, please, colleagues. We still have one statement left. The honourable member for Pickering, Brooklyn.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to draw attention to a deeply troubling development. The second phase of excavation at the Chimney mass graves in Sri Lanka concluded on September the 6th, uncovering the remains of 240 men, women, and mostly children. According to Amnesty International, Sri Lanka has one of the highest number of enforced disappearances in the world, with estimates of up to 100,000 over the decade. Each of these cases represents a profound loss for families still seeking answers. As the UN Committee on Enforced Disappearances reviews Sri Lanka's record, I call on this House to remember the disappeared, to stand with the families, and to honor the dignity of those whose lives were taken. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Oral questions, questions orales. The honourable Leader of the Opposition.
After the Prime Minister broke his promise to, quote, negotiate a win with the Americans by July 21st, lumber tariffs have more than doubled, and job losses are piling up. Cap Paper is potentially laying off 300 workers in Northern Ontario. That's on top of 800 workers who are losing their jobs at Imperial Oil. TransCanada and Enbridge are building more in the United States as their headquarters move south after the Prime Minister broke his promise to build, baby, build. Doesn't the Prime Minister realize that when he doesn't do his job, Canadians lose theirs?
Here. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, our sympathies are with the families of the workers at Imperial Oil. Our actions are with the workers and the management of Cap Paper, who are having meetings with the Minister of Industry, a variety of other government officials today to work. Our support is foursquare behind Algoma Steel, with $400 million between the federal government and the province of Ontario to build Canada strong.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Speaker, since he took office, 86,000 more Canadians are unemployed, and we have the second highest unemployment in the G7. This is all the result of out-of-control government spending and taxes. Every dollar the Prime Minister spends comes out of the pockets of Canadians. And now the Parliamentary Budget Officer rates his deficits as, quote, very alarming, stupefying, shocking, unsustainable. If you don't change, this is done. Something is going to break. We are at the edge of a cliff. Those are the words of the Parliamentary Budget Officer. When will he stop his out-of-control spending? When he's over the edge of the cliff?
Hear, hear. Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, there's a little thing called cause and effect. And the cause that the Leader of the Opposition is missing is the U.S. tariffs. The U.S. tariffs that are hitting steel, the U.S. tariffs that are hitting lumber, the U.S. tariffs that are hitting our auto sector. That's why we need to build this country strong. That's why we're getting spending under control. That's why we're going to spend less to invest more. I believe in this country, Mr. Speaker. Come join us.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Spend less? Deficit spending is up almost 100% since this Prime Minister took office. And as for investment, it has fallen. In fact, $50 billion of net investment has left since he took office. And yet he repeats the same promises the Liberals have been making for a decade. They said their deficits would lead to more investment. Since they took office, investment is down by 10%, the worst investment record in the G7. In fact, with $600 billion more debt under this government, investment has fallen. How much more debt would they have to add on the backs of Canadians to reverse this disastrous result?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, once again, it's time for a little fiscal lesson for the Leader of the Opposition. Strongest credit rating in the world, AAA, S&P, and Moody's. Lowest deficit in the G7. Lowest debt level in the G7. Lowest net debt to GDP in the G7. Biggest potential in the G7. This side of the House believes in Canada. Come join us.
The Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, I know that sometimes it gets heated in this place, and recently I said that this Prime Minister was just as irresponsible with money as Justin Trudeau, and I now realize that that was unfair to Justin Trudeau. In reality, he has increased the deficit by almost 70% above what Justin Trudeau left behind. And now the Parliamentary Budget Officer describes this Prime Minister's deficits as alarming, stupefying, unstable, unsustainable. If you don't change, this is done, and something is going to break. How is it even possible for this Prime Minister to be more fiscally incompetent than the drama teacher?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
But he believes you.
I can't imagine, Mr. Speaker, I can't imagine why it gets heated in the House with language like that.
Yeah, exactly.
The former Prime Minister. This government is conducting a comprehensive spending review. This government is building houses. This government is building projects in the national interest. This government is building Canada strong. Come join us.
Well done. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mais ça vient d'une vraie...
Mr. Speaker, coming from a real economic expert, the Parliamentary Budget Officer has said that this Prime Minister's deficits are very alarming, stupefying, shocking, unsustainable. If you don't change something, this is done. Something is going to break here. Canada isn't over the cliff yet, but it's looking out over the cliff. Mr. Speaker, every dollar being spent by this Prime Minister is coming out of Canadians' pockets. Will he finally recognize that Canadians can no longer pay the bill for his incompetence? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, Canada has the strongest economic record in the G7. Canada has some of the lowest long-term interest rates in the G7, lower than the American rate. On this side of the House, we have a great deal of ambition. We will build Canada strong.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister promised the Canadians would be able to judge him by their experience at the grocery store. Well, that experience is what is now being called struggle meals, where Canadians are now sharing tips on how they can scrounge together meals that are often of lower nutritional value because that's all they can afford. Food price inflation has accelerated to almost double the Bank of Canada's target, rising 50% faster in Canada than in the United States since this Prime Minister took office, promising the reverse. Will he finally axe the Liberal taxes on groceries so that Canadians can afford to eat?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Monsieur le Président, il n'y a pas...
Mr. Speaker, there is no GST on groceries.
Number 2, we cut the carbon tax. There's no carbon tax. There's no carbon tax on farms. There's no carbon tax on grocery stores. There is no carbon tax. No, there's not. On anything under 50 kilotons. Monsieur le Président, but we see the big picture. We know that real wages have been growing every single month since I became Prime Minister.
Well done.
L'honorable député de Belleuil-Chambly.
The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, the government has just interfered in an already very complex negotiation within Canada Post. And I can only call that provocation in the context of an already very complicated conflict. The government is adding to the uncertainty that is being felt by many families, not just workers' families. It is creating uncertainty in various towns in Quebec's regions, and I expect elsewhere in Canada as well. It's also causing a great deal of alarm to seniors. So let me get this clear. What does the Prime Minister think of the Postal Service? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, the Postal Service is an essential service. We need a viable postal service. Currently, the situation is difficult. Canada Post is losing millions of dollars. We need to take action. We need to restructure. The Honourable Member. I think that the government's deficit is going to be much larger than Canada Post's losses. But if this is really an essential service, Mr. Speaker, why are these radical cuts being made? Let's show some consistency. And workers learned about these cuts on their TV rather than actually hearing about what's going to happen. The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, I have just arrived here as Prime Minister. It has been some time that we've needed to have changes at Canada Post because it is an essential service throughout the country.
Belleuil-Chambly.
The Honourable Member. Mr. Speaker, if Quebecers and Canadians had wanted to have the Conservative Party in power, they would have voted for the Conservative Party. The Liberals' fiscal and climate and oil strategies are basically conservative strategies. Same thing with these austerity strategies. Will the Prime Minister put an end to his wrong-headed strategy and instead bring in serious experts to reform a postal service that does, in fact, need reform? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, it is Canada Post's and the union's responsibility to find a solution between themselves. But in this context, we need more flexibility for Canada Post in a manner that is consistent with the report.
The Honourable Member for Thornhill.
Every dollar that the Prime Minister spends comes out of the pockets of Canadians in Liberal taxes and inflation. The Prime Minister should know this. He calls himself a great economist, but he's going to spend over 60% more than even Justin Trudeau did. Parliament's independent fiscal watchdog says this, quote, It's alarming, it's stupefying, it's shocking, and it's unsustainable. He says something is going to break and that we're on the edge of a fiscal cliff. So why is the Prime Minister going to drive us off that cliff at full speed?
L'honorable ministre des Finances.
Mr. Speaker, that's why we said that we need to spend less so we can invest more. Unlike the Conservative, Mr. Speaker, I believe in Canada. I believe in Canadians. I believe in the will of this nation. We have the talent to lead in the 21st century. We have strong industry. We build planes. We build cars. We build ships. We have critical minerals. We have energy. We're the only country in the G7 to have a free trade agreement with all the other G7 nations. Instead of talking about Canada, they should celebrate the work of this government.
The honourable member for Thornhill.
Mr. Speaker, it is this Liberal that in 2015 promised that massive deficits were investments. But it was all a bait and switch because investment collapsed while debt went through the roof. But instead of sobering up from the debt binge that they've been on, the Liberals are just going to keep spending more money in a forever hangover. That means higher taxes and higher inflation for every Canadian. The first step in fighting addiction is admitting you have a problem. So when will the minister stand up and finally admit that his reckless spending is sending us over the cliff?
L'honorable ministre des Finances.
Mr. Speaker, same old Conservatives, Mr. Speaker, same old slogan, Mr. Speaker. She might have missed that we cut taxes for 22 million Canadians, Mr. Speaker. She might want to talk to people in her riding and across the nation. The first thing that this government did was to tackle affordability. You know why, Mr. Speaker? Because that's what Canadians told us. They also told us to build homes. That's why we created Canada Homes, Mr. Speaker. They told us to build the most resilient economy. That's what we're going to do. We're going to build the most resilient economy in the G7. We're going to be strong. We're the North.
The honourable member for Calgary-Midnapore.
The Liberals assured us in 2015 that running massive deficits was an investment. A decade later, we all know that it was just a bait and switch. The reality is that despite consistent efforts to falsely stimulate the economy, investment in Canada has collapsed. 10 years of Liberal broken promises. Debt up equals investment down. We know that this budget will have a massive deficit, but does the Prime Minister really expect Canadians to believe that doubling down will change the results?
The Honourable Minister of Natural Resources.
Mr. Speaker, we're retooling the Canadian economy by advancing national projects of interest. We're making Canada the strongest economy in the G7. That means shortening project reviews to 2 years and removing duplication while maintaining the environmental standards and are working with Indigenous peoples. Mr. Speaker, we are making Canada stronger. It would be great if they would support us.
The honourable member for Calgary-Midnapore.
Another Liberal bait and switch. The Prime Minister promised to cap spending, yet he's on track to double Trudeau's deficits. He promised to make Canada the strongest growing economy in the G7, yet we have the worst economic performance in the group. He promised to create jobs, but in reality, 86,000 Canadians have lost their jobs since this Prime Minister took office. So when will the Prime Minister tell Canadians that the plan to grow our economy was just a scheme to get elected?
The Honourable Minister of Natural Resources.
Mr. Speaker, on Friday I was just out in Vancouver celebrating the launch of LNG to be sent across to our allies. 75,000 Canadians worked on that project, Mr. Speaker. Last week we approved with the province of British Columbia the Silicim LNG facility, which will be as big again. Mr. Speaker, we are building Canada strong.
Honourable member for Northumberland Clark.
Every dollar the Prime Minister spends comes out of the pockets of hard-working Canadian workers, families and seniors. Justin Trudeau promised that deficit spending would be an investment. The result, the debt went up, the investment went down. That gave Canada the worst economic record in the G7 and the worst inflation in 40 years. No matter what these Liberals promise, the results are always the same. More debt, higher costs, and declining investment. Why should Canadians believe that this time will be any different?
L'honorable ministre de l'Industrie.
Mr.
Mr. Speaker, interest rates are down, and when you look at it, wages are growing higher than inflation as we speak. And meanwhile, CPPIB CEO says that the world's largest investors are focusing on Canada. Mr. Speaker, what are we doing? We're building national major projects. We're making sure also to launch a new defense industrial strategy. We'll create jobs in this country, and meanwhile, the opposition needs to come on board to make sure that Canadians benefit from it.
Honorable député de Louis Saint-Laurent à Kiawenrak.
The honourable member for Louis Saint-Laurent à Kiawenrak. Mr. Speaker, every dollar spent by this Prime Minister comes directly out of Canadians' pockets. And the parliamentary budget officer has called these liberal deficits, and I quote, very alarming, stupefying, shocking, unsustainable. If you don't change something, this is done. Those are not my words, it's the PBO. Mr. Speaker, does the Prime Minister realize that he is driving Canada directly off a cliff? The Honourable Minister of Industry. Well, economists don't agree with what my colleague is saying, because currently interest rates are going down and wages are going up compared to inflation. We are attracting capital from throughout the world, and we are going to do that through national interest projects like the Contrecoeur Port in Montreal or the Northern Quebec Rail Line that will bring everything to the port of Saguenay. We are working on these major projects. We will build more housing, and we will also create an industrial defense strategy. The honourable member. Mr. Speaker, these were not my words. They were the words of the parliamentary budget officer. In addition, the Prime Minister promised to cap government spending. But the PBO has confirmed that this is just another broken Liberal promise. Trudeau's deficits are about to double. Unbelievable. Once again, the PBO said that something has to break here. He has told us that we are very near the edge of the cliff. Could the Prime Minister rise and recognize that he is once again bringing Canada into a situation where it will be crushed by unsustainable deficits? The Honourable Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker, is actually driving the country towards prosperity. We need to invest more and ensure that Canada is able to prosper. We have talent throughout this country. We can build cars, ships, planes. We have critical minerals. We have abundant energy. And we are the only country in the G7 to have a free trade agreement with all countries in the G7. On the other side of the House, they should be celebrating this Prime Minister's achievements. We will make Canada the strongest country in the G7. The honourable member for Laurentides-Labelle. Mr. Speaker, this government has caused the postal crisis. It announced its Canada Post reform without telling workers, who had to learn it in the news. They learned about it in the news, and now nobody is getting their mail. Some people are not able to get their paychecks or have to go elsewhere to get them. Businesses are having to improvise to deliver packages, and Quebec is concerned that people won't get their ballot to vote in the municipal elections. All because the minister improvised and didn't consult anyone. What was the minister really expecting? The Honourable Minister for Government Transformation. I'd like to thank my colleague for the question, but I'd like to set things straight. This conflict has been going on for 20 months. The union was on strike. In 2024, I wasn't yet the minister, and so when she says that we did not have any consultations, well, what we're doing is actually bringing in the recommendations of the report that looked at Canada Post finances. We are bringing in sensible strategies to ensure that while Canada Post is losing millions of dollars every day, we cannot wait any longer. The honourable member for Laurentides-Labelle. Mr. Speaker, the federal government is the one that caused this postal crisis. I have a great example. Passports. People waiting for passports that won't arrive in time will have to go into Service Canada and in some cases pay hundreds of dollars to get their passport. And Service Canada is actually under the same department as the Postal Service. Clearly, it didn't even occur to Service Canada to try to fix this, And no one asks people what should be done before turning things upside down at Canada Post. Why are Quebecers once again having to pay for Liberal incompetence? The Honourable Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We have a plan for Canadians to get their passport.
Support people who have a situation with their passport stuck in the mail, and we are available 24/7 to help Canadians.
Honourable Member for Foothills.
We know that the Prime Minister was misleading Canadians when he cancelled the carbon tax. And I want to quote the food professor, Dr. Sylvain Charlebois, who stated it perfectly. The carbon tax...
I'd ask the member to start over without that particular language. I mean, inadvertently, but not. I wouldn't suggest that the honourable member is intentionally doing something like that.
Mr. Speaker, we know the Prime Minister was doing a classic Liberal bait and switch when he told Canadians he cancelled the carbon tax. And I want to quote the food professor, Dr. Sylvain Charlebois, who put it perfectly. The carbon tax was not eliminated. Only the consumer portion was reduced to zero. The industrial carbon tax remains in place and has actually increased since April 1st. We argued numerous times that the carbon tax across the supply chains is undermining the competitiveness of our agri-food sector. Why is the Prime Minister pulling a bait and switch and taxing farmers and the food Canadians rely on?
The Honourable Minister of Natural Resources.
Mr. Speaker, the industrial carbon price is essential to our credibility as a responsible energy supplier and key to gaining market access as we diversify our exports. It's driving over $57 billion of investment enabling carbon capture projects like the Pathways Project and reinforcing Canada's leadership as a low-emission LNG producer. Mr. Speaker, this is the right thing to do.
The Honourable Member for Foothills.
Well, I'd like to give the Prime Minister some facts. The fact is, food prices have increased nearly 40% since these Liberals were elected 10 years ago. I saw it at the grocery store this weekend. Pork shoulder was up 37%. My coffee was up 25%. A little package of lunch meat was almost $10. The Prime Minister said he would be judged by food prices. Food Banks Canada has now said a quarter of Canadians are struggling to put food on the table. That should never be the reality in this country. Will the Prime Minister do the right thing, support the Conservative motion, and scrap his taxes on farmers and the food Canadians rely on?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians are well aware of who has their backs, and that's why they chose this Liberal government in the last election, because over the last 10 years, they've watched Conservatives vote against all of their interests, Mr. Speaker, whether it was for programs for kids, programs for seniors, training for tradespeople, investments in agriculture. These Conservatives vote against it. I hope by the nature of that question, though, that they won't vote against the tax cut for 22 million Canadians. That's how they help Canadians, by standing with them.
The Honourable Member for Long Range Mountain.
Mr. Speaker, every dollar that this Prime Minister spends comes out of the pockets of Canadians in higher Liberal taxes and inflation. Let's start with the grocery aisle. The Prime Minister promised he would be judged by Canadians' experience at the grocery store. And since he took office, food prices have been rising 50% faster than the U.S. Greta from Trout River, a widow, has reached out saying prices on everything have gone through the roof. She can't afford to eat, Mr. Speaker. Will the Liberal Prime Minister stop taxing groceries so Canadians can afford to put food on their table?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, while the Conservative leader was busy trying to get the only job he ever had back, 3 months ago today, we cut taxes for 22 million Canadians, and we're not stopping there. We're going to cut spending on government operations so we can invest more in nation-building projects, in housing, in infrastructure, and in defense. We'll create tens of thousands of good-paying jobs. Mr. Speaker, I ask the Conservatives to cut the rhetoric and get on board. Thank you.
Honourable Member for Long Range Mountain.
Mr. Speaker, the real truth is Minister's been on this job for half a year and grocery prices have already become more unaffordable. Right. The so-called struggle meals like Hamburger Helper and Kraft Dinner are trending as Canadians struggle with the high price of food, all because of things like the food packaging taxes and the industrial carbon tax. Canadians are judging the Prime Minister. Just like he expected, they're asking, they're pleading for the prices to go down immediately. Again, will the Prime Minister stop taxing groceries so Canadians can afford to eat?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Seniors.
Mr. Speaker, today we mark National Seniors Day, and I want to point out that our government has taken action to ensure that seniors in Canada can age with dignity. We're cutting red tape, we're building homes faster, and we've introduced dental care that now more than 2 million seniors have signed up for. We're building an economy that works for everyone. While the Conservatives have a record of pushing the retirement age higher, it's very rich coming from them given that they are interested in cutting benefits and leaving seniors behind. While they're voting against support for seniors, we are empowering older Canadians.
L'honorable député de Montmorency-Charlevoix.
The Honourable Member for Montmorency-Charlevoix. Mr. Speaker, the cost of life is out of control. Canadians can't breathe. Food inflation is now 70% above the Bank of Canada's target. Families are paying hundreds of dollars each year to feed themselves and buy essential products like coffee and meat. Coffee prices are up in the past few months, and that's an industry that supports workers throughout the country. Does the Prime Minister realize that every dollar he spends recklessly fuels inflation and drives up the cost of living? The Honourable Secretary of State for Children and Youth. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We are determined to grow our economy to be the strongest one in the G7. We will increase supports to Canadians which help them. We are investing in childcare, in dental care, and in school food programs. All of that brings down the cost of living for families. It also helps Canada because it allows women to participate in the labour market more so that their families can make ends meet. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Today is National Seniors Day, an opportunity to recognize the contribution seniors have made to building our communities and our country. Yet, some are still facing delays in processing old age security and Canada Pension Plan applications. Could Secretary of State for Seniors share what steps are being taken to speed up the processing these critical applications?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Seniors.
So much for the question. Mr. Speaker, first I'd like to take a moment to recognize the tremendous contribution of seniors in this country. They built this country, and we assure them that this government is working hard to deliver the benefits that they deserve. Service Canada is streamlining applications, increasing automation, and improving communication with clients. We have an action plan to improve the speed and quality of service for seniors in this country, and we will implement this plan. For example, the 96% of seniors receiving GIS are now automatically renewed, ensuring continuity of service. This is the kind of work we are doing to ensure seniors are getting the resources that they have worked so hard for.
The Honourable Member for Cambridge.
Mr. Speaker, the generation that built our prosperity is now being bled dry by the Liberal government's unaffordability crisis. A shocking new report shows that 1/3 of seniors are covering their adult children's basic costs, and 3/4 say it's draining their retirement. After 10 years of Liberal spending, costs rise and hopes slip away. Every dollar the Prime Minister spends comes out of seniors' pockets in Liberal taxes and inflation. Inflation that will further increase with the Prime Minister's plan to double the deficit. How many more seniors will be forced to choose between supporting themselves or supporting their families?
Honourable Secretary of State for Seniors.
Mr. Speaker, I'm so glad that the Conservatives are showing interest in Canada's seniors. This new government is taking action to empower Canada's seniors, and we are steadfast in our mission to protect the dignity and security of those who built this country through a lifetime of hard work. That's why we are taking action to ensure that low-income seniors receive the guaranteed income supplement. This is a vital support that helps those with little or no income beyond their old age security. We are focused on ensuring that they receive every dollar they are entitled to, because supporting seniors is not just policy, but it's a promise we will always uphold.
The honourable member for King Vaughan.
After a lifetime of hard work raising their families, seniors deserve to enjoy their retirement. But under this Liberal government, that dream is slipping away. Every dollar the Prime Minister spends comes out of the pockets of Canadians in higher Liberal taxes and inflation. A new report shows 1 in 3 grandparents are now supporting their adult children and grandchildren, and 76% say it's cutting into their retirement savings. Mr. Speaker, how much more inflation will this Prime Minister add with his plan to double the deficit?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Secretary of State for Seniors.
Mr. Speaker, this government is taking action to empower Canada's seniors. While the Conservatives, with their plan, folks wouldn't have been able to retire until 67. I think it's important to point out that on this side of the House, we're ensuring a strong, stable future for our seniors. We have crucial programs that provide more than $1,000 per month to the most financially vulnerable seniors, and we're focused on ensuring that they receive every dollar they're entitled to. We are steadfast in our mission to protect the dignity and seniors of those who built this country, and they...
The honourable member for Markham Unionville.
Mr. Speaker, every dollar the Prime Minister spends comes out of the pockets of Canadians. The higher Liberal taxes and inflation. A new report shows that 1 in 3 seniors are supporting their adult children and their grandchildren. What does this mean? It means that 28% of seniors help their adult children with rent or mortgage payments, up from last year. This should be a concern to everyone. When the Prime Minister doubles the deficit, how much more will grandparents have to pay to house their adult children and grandchildren?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, today is, of course, National Seniors Day, and I'm proud to wish all seniors a happy day on their day. I'm also not quite a senior yet, but I am old enough to remember when Conservatives voted against increasing the OAS. They voted against increasing the GIS. They voted against all other supports for seniors in the pandemic. They called it inflationary spending, Mr. Speaker. Did it take National Seniors Day for Conservatives to see the light, Mr. Speaker?
L'honorable député de Mégantic.
The Honourable Member for Mégantic-L'Érable-Lotbinière. Mr. Speaker, what is Liberals' 10-year present? A very damning report that came out in the newspaper, which says that 1 in 3 seniors are supporting their adult children and grandchildren. Speaker, 67% of seniors are supporting them with everyday living expenses. That's up 12% from last year. The Liberal government is taking money from Canadians' pockets as a result of their high taxes and inflation. Here's my question. How much more inflation will the Prime Minister add with his plan to double the deficit? The Honourable Government House Leader. Today is National Seniors Day. We wish seniors a happy Seniors Day. They are the ones who built Canada. I'd like to guarantee to my colleague that we are taking care of seniors. They voted against enhancing the GIS for seniors. They voted against enhancing benefit payments for those over 75, and they wanted seniors to work until age 67 before retiring. Seniors Day today is a great occasion to remind them of all that.
Every dollar this Prime Minister spends comes out of the pockets of Canadians because of higher Liberal taxes and inflation. This Prime Minister said we should judge him based on the prices at the grocery store. Well, let's. Food inflation in Canada is rising 50% faster than in the United States. Food bank usage is at record highs and rising. The St. Thomas Elgin Food Bank will have to feed 30,000 mouths this year, the third straight year of record highs. The Prime Minister said he would turn this economy around because he's this brilliant banker. Why didn't he tell Canadians that on his watch, more than ever would need a food banker?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Labour.
Mr. Speaker, one of the best ways to combat inflation is to create real opportunities for Canadians. And that's exactly what we're doing. We're going to be building. We're building, Mr. Speaker, building homes, building projects in the national interest with Canadian lumber, Canadian steel, Canadian unionized workers, Mr. Speaker. We are optimistic about Canada's future. Will the Conservatives get on board?
The Honourable Member for Calgary-Crowfoot.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister's been caught plagiarizing again. This time, he's copying his protege, Justin Trudeau. Trudeau promised that deficit spending would be an investment. And what happened? When the debt went up, investments in Canada collapsed. Then after COVID, he said he would remake the economy with deficit spending. This gave Canada the worst growth in the G7 and the worst inflation in 40 years. No matter what Liberals promise, debt and costs go up and growth and investments go down. Why would it be different this time?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Sport.
Thanks very much, Mr. Speaker. You know what helps Canadians? Cutting their taxes for 22 million Canadians, and that's what we did earlier this year, Mr. Speaker. We're supporting affordability measures with actual policies, not just rhetoric in the House of Commons, not with misinformation. Mr. Speaker, time and time again, these Conservatives have stood up in the House to suggest there's taxes on groceries. Canadians know better. They can read their bill. They can go into the bill. They see there's no taxes on coffee beans. There's no taxes on meat. There's no taxes on craft dinner. Mr. Speaker, when are the Conservatives going to show up with some real ideas to support affordability for Canadians?
Honourable Member for Calgary-Crowfoot.
Mr. Speaker, that's not an answer. That's just another Liberal bait and switch. The Prime Minister promised to cap spending. Promise broken. The Prime Minister is going to double Justin Trudeau's deficits. The Prime Minister promised Canada would have the strongest economy in the G7. Promise broken. Canada now has the slowest economic growth in the G7. This tired, old, incompetent government has presided over 10 years of economic and fiscal vandalism. When will they finally rein in their out-of-control inflationary spending?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Speaker, on April 28th, Canadians made a clear choice between a leader with business and economic experience versus a leader with none. We are laser focused on cutting taxes for 22 million Canadians. We are cutting taxes for first-time homebuyers. Interest rates are low, and we will build homes at a scale not seen since the Second World War. Mr. Speaker, we will build the strongest economy in the G7. I ask the Conservatives to cut the rhetoric. Get on board.
The Honourable Member for Cloverdale, Langley City.
The parliamentary budget officer just pulled the fire alarm. He called our finances, quote, very alarming, stupefying, shocking, and unsustainable. He warned, quote, if we don't change, this is done. Something's going to break. We're standing at the cliff's edge, and for the younger generation especially, this is their future at risk. Every dollar this Prime Minister spends today comes out of Canadian pockets tomorrow in higher taxes and higher inflation. Will the Prime Minister keep marching Canadians toward the cliff off doubling deficits, or will he finally turn back before it's too late?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, I don't know where the Conservatives have been for the last 4 months, but we have crisscrossed the country talking to, consulting, and listening to Canadians. Their message was resoundingly clear. They want us to spend less in government operations, invest more in nation-building projects, strengthen our economy, building the most resilient economy in the G7. Again, please, Conservatives, stop the rhetoric. Join with us. Get on board. Thank you.
L'honorable député de Richemont-Arthabasca.
The Honourable Member for Richemont-Arthabasca. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister has once again been caught red-handed, copying. Mr. Speaker, he's copying Justin Trudeau. No, Mr. Speaker, just no. The Liberals have chosen Justin Trudeau's top advisor. You know what, Mr. Speaker? This Prime Minister is worse than Justin Trudeau. The parliamentary budget officer was very clear. The current situation cannot go on. Debt has skyrocketed. Investment in Canada is in free fall. We have the slowest growth in the G7. And what's the result of all that? Debt is increasing. Cost of living is increasing. The Prime Minister is following the same recipe with the same ingredients. Does he really think he'll get different results? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, it's clear that the colleague just took a question his leader gave him in English and translated it into French for us. The answer is very clear, though. Interest has come down. We are working to attract more foreign capital through our major national projects and our international defense strategy. We will ensure that we're creating more jobs everywhere in Canada. The Honourable Member for Argenteuil-La Petite Nation. Mr. Speaker, today is National Seniors Day. On this day, we pay tribute to the invaluable contribution of seniors who built and shaped our country. However, many of them are wondering whether they will be able to continue to age with dignity in their communities. Can the Secretary of State tell us what the government is doing to guarantee seniors the right to affordable housing? The Honourable Member, the Minister for Employment and Families. I'd like to thank the member for Argenteuil-La Petite Nation for his excellent question. National Seniors Day is an excellent opportunity to thank seniors for everything that they have done for us and for our country. Our government respects seniors. Seniors want to age in dignity in their homes and in their communities where they feel good, where they feel at home. We have over 50,000 seniors, 50,000 housing units set aside for seniors, and a significant amount in the Housing Protection Fund in order to guarantee that seniors have affordable rental units.
Mr. Speaker, soft on crime Liberal policy has led to gun crime skyrocketing to 130%. Canadians are being terrorized by violent repeat offenders and gangs, yet these Liberals are focused on harassing law-abiding citizens with a gun grab that cost $750 million. The Public Safety Minister admitted the scheme won't work, but he's going ahead with it anyways. This isn't keeping Canadians safe. It's political theater, and we all know it. When will the Prime Minister protect Canadians and fire this failed public safety style minister?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, I'm very pleased to announce that the Assault-Style Firearms Compensation Program launched this morning in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. It's a pilot that will be expanded across Canada, Mr. Speaker. I'm also pleased to announce that a number of individuals who are law-abiding gun owners have registered and are looking forward to the compensation that they're going to receive, Mr. Speaker. Canadians are law-abiding people, Mr. Speaker. Gun owners are also law-abiding, and they will be seeking compensation for this program, and we look forward to its implementation across Canada.
The Honourable Member for Prince George, Peace River, Northern Rockies.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Public Safety Minister, while speaking to his tenant on the Liberal gun confiscation program, said, quote, "Don't ask me to explain the logic to you on this," unquote. His tenant, but we're not the problem, unquote. The Minister's tenant is 100% correct. Canadians know hunters, sport shooters, and other law-abiding gun owners are not the problem. But under this minister's gun crime is up 130%, with illegal guns being smuggled in through his leaky border. Will this Prime Minister finally fire this minister today for not keeping Canadians safe?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Combating Crime.
Mr. Speaker, we are fighting crime on all fronts. We are fighting guns at our borders by historic investments. We are in the process of hiring more CBSA and RCMP officers. We have a bill in this House, C2, will help fight criminal organizations and make our borders stronger, Mr. Speaker. But getting assault-style rifles and shotguns out of our communities is also important. We're going to make sure that we do this on all fronts, Mr. Speaker. There are still 19,000 other makes and models available for hunters and sports shooters, and they can use those options.
The Honourable Member for Provencher.
Mr. Speaker, loose lips sink ships. In a stunning display of incompetence, the Public Safety Minister has admitted that spending $750 million on a gun grab won't work. This same minister has lost track of 600 foreign national criminals and failed to hire the 1,000 additional border guards. Canadians want a government who can keep them safe. But instead of protecting Canadians, this Prime Minister would rather protect his Public Safety Minister and their flawed ideology. The ship is sinking. Will the Prime Minister fire his Minister of Public Safety?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, firearm tragedies are obviously a tragedy in this country. We've had another example, sad example of that today. What Canadians have clearly expressed to this government, and indeed all parliamentarians, is that Canada needs to distinguish itself in getting rid of assault-style weapons in our society. This party has always supported measures that would accomplish that objective. That party has always stood up against measures that would accomplish that objective, Mr. Speaker. They need to get serious about guns.
The Honourable Member for Winnipeg South Centre.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday I attended a ceremony to honour survivors of a residential school that operated for decades in my riding. Together we unveiled a plaque in multiple Indigenous languages so that in some small way they were able to reclaim what was stolen. The elders and knowledge keepers reminded us that true reconciliation occurs when communities have a seat around the table as decisions are being made. There cannot be any shortcuts around Section 35 rights. Can the Minister of Northern and Arctic Affairs update us on work being undertaken by the government to ensure that nation-building projects are developed alongside Indigenous right holders right from day one? Thank you, Minister.
Honourable Minister of Northern and Arctic Affairs.
Thank you, Member of Parliament Ben Carr. Mr. Speaker.
You can't use names.
I'll allow the member to start over. I'll allow the member to start over without naming names. Let's put it that way.
She's so new, she doesn't know that.
Mr. Speaker, no project will move forward with honouring Section 35. As the Prime Minister said, meaningful consultation and cooperation are at the heart of our new government's approach to nation building. The Indigenous Advisory Council brings First Nations, Métis and Inuit from day one to strengthen, not replace treaty and constitutional duties. With capacity funding and the double $10 billion Indigenous loan guarantee, Indigenous people will help shape and share in the projects. Following the National Day of Truth and Reconciliation, we reaffirm our commitment to lasting, respectful partnership.
The Honourable Member for Kenora, Kiiwetinoong.
Northern Ontario was hit with devastating job news this week, Mr. Speaker, when Cap Paper and Kapuskasing announced plans to close their mill, directly affecting 300 jobs and indirectly many more. The company is blaming a lack of federal supports for this decision, saying that although a program was announced months ago to help, nothing is going to be available in time to save this mill. Mr. Speaker, this is completely ridiculous and it's incompetence at its worst. Why have the Liberals broken their promise to these workers by making big, grand announcements and then leaving Northern Ontario abandoned?
The Honourable Minister of Industry.
Speaker, the closure of Cap Paper is a gut punch to workers, to their families, and of course to communities. And the federal government is at the table and willing to help. The province needs to come back to the table. That being said, I'm meeting along with the Minister of Jobs, the executives of Cap Paper this afternoon, and we're in solution mode. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Winnipeg Centre.
Mr. Speaker, the Liberal government is siding with Canada Post executives to help privatize the Postal Service. And what does that mean, Mr. Speaker? Cuts to services for seniors, the disability community, and rural areas, while attacking good-paying union jobs. Well, today, Mr. Speaker, postal workers said no more, rallying on Parliament Hill to tell the Prime Minister no more cuts to Canada Post. Why does the minister stop what he's doing, actually do his job, protect public services, and stop attacking workers?
The The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And to the contrary, Mr. Speaker, it's because we realize on this side, and we know full well that Canada Post is an essential institution to the fabric of our nation, that we're making and taking the necessary steps to put it on a path to financial viability. Canada Post, Mr. Speaker, is an institution worth saving, and it's an institution at this time that needs saving. It is losing $10 million a day. It needs to modernize. This is why we're taking the steps, making sure that we provide service all across the country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. And that sera met fin à la période des questions. Is there a point of order?
Yes, for Winnipeg Centre.
The Honourable Member for Winnipeg Centre on a point of order.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. During question period, the Minister for Northern and Arctic Affairs provided information about the Constitution with Section 35. The bill actually doesn't respect 35 and is in violation of Indigenous...
It's a matter of debate. It's not a point of order. It being 3:10, the House will now proceed to the taking of the deferred recorded division.
Okay. We're going to call it here. There's a committee link in the chat. I'll put it in there and I'll pin it again. It's going to be pretty good. We've got in the Ethics Committee, which is chaired by John Brassard, we've got a conflict of interest debate, and after what just happened recently with Imperial Oil and Brookfield being invested in Imperial Oil and Carney being invested in Brookfield, there's going to be a lot more discussion on that, and Conservative MP Barrett is in the committee, and he's been pushing for more transparency for public office holders. So that'll be a good committee to tune into. We'll be doing more committees again tomorrow in the morning, 11 a.m., 2 p.m. for question period, and then 3:30 for another committee as well. So 3 streams tomorrow if you can't join us for the committee, which there it is again. And we're going to call it here. So I'll see you guys in like an hour for the next stream. And if you can't join us for that, I will see you tomorrow for question period as well again, same time. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and see you soon.